would you say, this is a very leading question by the way, but would you say then that if you always want to be better, leading question as I said, you will never be happy? What would you say?
I would say, and this I'm going to quote Tony Robbins here. You see, growth, okay, is happiness. Happiness comes from growth, okay. Whatever that you've set your mind to, if you are working towards it and you are achieving it, the result, irrespective of how big or smaller it is, if you are going through the process and you're working around things and you're getting the results, happiness is automatic. And the opposite is also true, so for me, I think, yeah, like you said, it matters, and for me, that is where I derive my concept of happiness from, working every day to be better than whoever I was yesterday, and keeping on going. Because mind you, this life is a whole journey. And when something is a journey, it doesn't stop until we get to the destination, which in the case of we human beings, which is 6 feet, nothing stops with that, which means that whatever that we are doing, we always have to focus on constant improvement. Whatever that I was yesterday, today I need to be better. Tomorrow it has to be more, and in that direction. So for me, for happiness, I derive it from growth and working on myself and becoming a better person every day.
Welcome to another episode of Your Successful Self podcast. I am Jose Ucar, and I'm going to be interviewing one of the founders of this incredible podcast. So I'm honored because I've been interviewed by him, but I'm still delighted to have the opportunity to ask some good questions to the one and only, the great, the resilient, the amazing, the one of a kind, the guy with the smile, Emmanuel Anderson. People, give it a round of applause. Come on, give it a round of applause. People watching, people listening. We are making history here. And we are making history here. Why? Because this guy is a powerhouse. And I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to pass on the mic to Emmanuel. And the first question, well, actually, I'm not going to ask a question yet. I'm just going to say hello to Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. Welcome to your own podcast. How are you today?
I'm so awesome, and I'm excited, in this day, simply because today is the day that we're kickstarting, with our platform and the whole idea. And the reason why I'm excited is that, it's been a long time coming. I know how it feels, and I know you also know about it, that, in your heart or in your mind, when you have an idea or when you have conceived an idea, to embark on a certain journey, and the resources or the people that you need to have, to be able to begin with the journey, if those things aren't falling in place, it becomes very difficult, so for me, and for that matter, the team, for we being able to kickstart the whole thing this day, it's also, exciting for me, and I can't wait to see, where the journey takes us, yeah.
Wow. Well, I can see this becoming a very successful journey indeed. Emmanuel, since I've known you, my friend, I mean, one of the things that I've learned to appreciate is the power of your smile. And I do know, based on your story, that that comes from a very resilient mindset. So I would like to ask you, let's just get people to know you a bit more. Tell us a little bit about your story. Tell us where you come from, and tell us as well what has led you to be doing what you do today. Give us the summary. Over to you.
Yeah. First of all, I'm African, I come from Ghana, West Africa. And if I am in this space, with you today, it's simply because of an idea or a belief, that I had carried, with me since childhood, from childhood, like, your own story. I believed in my heart that, the environment in which I was born into, I didn't belong to that environment. That I was meant for more, and I am way bigger than my environment, So right after high school, the idea was, to be able to relocate abroad and, find the perfect environment, for myself and for that matter, whoever I feel like I am and I could become in life. And like you said, you know a bit about me. It hasn't been easy before this day. It's taken so long. Probably over 17 years before realizing, this dream of relocating abroad, and for that matter, we've been in this space today. And for me, everything began right after high school, and it began from the grounds of this mindset. Where I'm coming from in Ghana, if you aren't born into a wealthy family or a family that is connected, life is really difficult for you. I don't care uh, the education that you've had in your life. If you are not from a wealthy family and if you are not connected, life is really difficult. So after high school, for me, the vision was to relocate abroad, and the family not having the resources to help me. I decided that, the community in which I come from, the way that most of the folks, from my background, the way that they used to get to abroad and to become something in life is through stowaway. And mind you, one of Ghana's two ports is in this community where I come from, which is Takoradi, and for that matter, New Takoradi. So I started stowaway, right after, high school. And uh, for 10 years, things never worked out, and within that 10 years, the things that happened, I think that is a story for another day. But after 10 years and things not happening, I had to take to the Saharan desert, cross the desert to Libya and cross the Mediterranean Sea to live in the refugees camp of Italy. But then over there in the camp, the life that I had envisioned, and because of that, I took my life through that risky journey and crossed over. I wasn't seeing anything like that. So I said to myself, no, this is not the kind of life that, I've come here to live. So I left the refugee camp, I escaped and I came to live in Spain. And that is where I've been living for the past 7, 8 years. And now I've moved over here to the UK. And the reason is that over there in Spain, I couldn't find a way to bring about my idea. So the best option for me was to come into an English country, because, mind you, I come from an English country. I've been brought up as an English, and I'm with this English identity. Away from that, what I intend to do with my life, the audience, they come from the English world, so what's the best way to do this is to, move to an English country. So last year I moved over here, and I'm moving over here, to get people, to help me bring about these ideas and whatever I intend to achieve with my life. It was difficult. You meet people on the street, you explain your ideas to them, and nobody's willing to help you until I met this great man, Lloyd Gardner, who is the head of our production. And I explained the idea to him, and I think on the spot, he saw the vision and he was like, Emmanuel, this is a great vision, and I relate to your story. So whatever it takes, I'm going to help you, bring the idea into fruition. And today we are here, kickstarting this whole project, of ours. Yeah.
Wow. If I summarize, well, people, you've listened to, but this is a summary version of Emmanuel's story. I've had the opportunity of sitting down with him over a coffee when I first met him in person, and he's definitely an inspiration. But listen to some of the key messages here. And for him, it was all about changing his environment. On occasions in life, we find ourselves in these environments that, are counterproductive, if you like.
Yes.
And regardless of the circumstances, he pushed for it. You've heard it. You've heard him. I mean, he crossed the Sahara Desert. He left a refugee camp. He lived in Spain, learned the language, and now he's in the UK. If you want to achieve something based on his message, change your environment along with your mindset. Anything is possible. Now, this man here is encouraging others worldwide to become their best self. That is fantastic. Thank you, Emmanuel, for sharing. You've covered that changing environment, but now I would like you to explain to me the mindset behind your achievements. What do you think about? What is that thing that propels you forward while keeping that incredible smile, brother?
you will never leave me with this smile. Anyway,
Well, he's smiling already. So he's just, I mean, you need to see him. If you see a picture of Emmanuel, you'll probably see his big smile and then you see everything else. So, hey,
anyway, thanks for the question. I think, like I said earlier, everything is about belief system. Okay, and for me, when I was a child, two things happened to me that has, dictated, the trajectory of my life. Through my educational days, for every classroom that I sat, I was the one that every teacher would say he's the best student. Okay. And so having that, having those words, ingrained in my mind, it kind of made me have this belief system that I am better, I am more and I am bigger than this environment, even with the colleagues that I found myself around, So being in that environment and finding myself with others, from the same environment, I always saw myself as bigger than those environment and those people. So one, it's the idea that has dictated, my journey all through, to this day, and it's what has helped me, as far as resiliency is concerned. So if you're talking about the issue of resiliency, I don't know. I am resilient until people tell me. But if I am being real with you, this is the idea that has dictated it. Away from that, you see, when you are raising a child and you tell them that they are good all the time, especially when it comes to education and studies, another thing happens to them. And it also, impacted my life. Because I was told as a child that I'm a good student, without telling me that, hey, you're a good student, but what will make you even better is to study. I never studied because in my mind, it made sense that if you're a good student, like they were, telling me, why do I have to study? I'm already good, So that aspect, impacted me in this way that it never, propelled me or gave me the edge to study and be on top of my game. So when it comes to important examinations that, probably from the junior high school, when you are done, you could cross over to the senior high school. I never passed those exams, and it took me to a different direction that, even after high school or even in the high school system, I also failed. And that is what affected me, with my confidence in education. And after high school, I said, it's done. I'm never going to go to school again. And, it's turned me into becoming a street child, and a whole lot of things, came into the picture. So when it comes to the things that have impacted my life, like I've said earlier, it's about this thing that I've just explained, but most importantly, it's about the belief system that I've carried all along, that I am better, I deserve better in life. So wherever I found myself, irrespective of the situation, good or bad, I want to go in for the better or the best thing. Yeah.
I can do better. Yeah. And I can be better myself. So it's about, I can be better.
Yes.
I'm better than this
Yes.
kind
That
of
is the
mentality.
mindset. Yes.
Which I think is a very important takeaway for the audience, because then that sets you on a path of always improving. There is that thing. I mean, would you say, this is a very leading question, by the way, but would you say then that if you always want to be better, leading question, as I said, you will never be happy? What would you say?
I would say, and this I'm going to quote Tony Robbins here. You see, growth, okay, is happiness. Happiness comes from growth, okay? Whatever that you've set your mind to, if you are working towards it and you are achieving it, the result, irrespective of how big or smaller it is, if you are going through the process and you're working around things and you're getting the results, happiness is automatic. And the opposite is also true, So for me, I think, yeah, like you've said, it matters, and for me, that is where I derive my concept of happiness from, working every day to be better than whoever I was yesterday, and keeping on growing. Because mind you, this life is a whole journey. And when something is a journey, it doesn't stop until we get to the destination, which in the case of we human beings, which is 6 feet, nothing stops with that, which means that whatever that we are doing, we always have to focus on constant improvement. Whatever that I was yesterday, today I need to be better. Tomorrow it has to be more, and in that direction. So for me, for happiness, I derive it from growth and working on myself and becoming a better person every day. Yeah.
I love that one. That's a powerful quote. And people, as you can see here, it's become one of Emmanuel's, well, part of his belief system. So growth is happiness, happiness is growth. So it's all happening for him
Yes.
every day. And yes, I love that. Life is a journey until it isn't anymore because we're
Yes.
not here.
Yes. Yes.
So that is, I mean, I agree because I also like that. It's a good way to live. And it's what makes Emmanuel the guy he is, the resilient human being. So I hope you're writing some of these things down and begin to work on your own growth. So, Emmanuel, thank you very much for asking these questions, my friend. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time
In 10 years'
as you
time,
continue to grow and be happy and through happiness grow back and forth?
well, before I tackle that question, let me bring this thing in that, before this day, when I found myself in Spain, I was going through a lot, because first of all, I had traveled with the conception that the moment I am able to migrate to Europe, life is going to be sweet. And it never turned out to be that sweet that I had envisioned, So there was this issue of confusion, in my mind. And for me, it happened when I was working at a restaurant, I was working as a waiter, and my bosses, not treating me right. You work whenever the month is here, they don't pay you, and it's all coming from the fact that when I came to Spain, the authorities there never accepted me, So I was faced with an issue of whether staying or being deported back home. And what saved me was that if I could get a job and I could present a contract to the authority, they could allow me stay. And these bosses that I'm talking about, from this restaurant, they offered me the contract, to be able to solidify my stay in the country. And so I think they knowing that, my situation was more of a document thing, and whatever that is happening with the job, if I don't comply, then I'm going to lose my documents and my status, and I could, be deported back home. And I wasn't willing to do that. I think they took advantage of that and they started doing whatever. But in those challenging moments, like I've been telling you earlier, I've always seen myself as better and someone deserving of, better things in life. So I started asking myself questions that, is this my reality? Like, am I just born to struggle and go through some of these things and just die? No way, yeah, Emmanuel, you are better, you deserve better, So that those questions, it took me on a journey of personal development. And so when the journey of personal development, began between 2018 and 2019 for me, I set a 10-year goal, because like I was telling you before now, it was on my 30th birthday that, by the age of 40, I should be able to, excuse my language, get my shit together, like do the work on me. Who am I? Why am I here in the world? What do I want? How do I get the best out of this life? So those questions, that those are the questions that took me on the journey of personal development. So I set this goal that in the next 10 years, 5 years, I should be able to work on myself, be clear about whoever I am and what I want in life. And after doing the work, the next 5 years, I should be able to build. And so coming back to your question, like I set the goal, it's been 5 years so far. And even though I wouldn't say when it comes to doing the job on me or doing the work on me, I've been able to get that 100%. No. Sometimes I go through a lot of stuff that even in spite of my self-awareness, I'm not able to, have control over, those situations. And if you could remember, whenever I've reached out to you that I'm going through such a thing for advice or something, these are some of the moments, So now that we are at the end of the first 5 years, which is about doing the work on myself, my vision for the next 5 years is to build something, because I believe that I am meant for more and I am made for more. And talking about being meant for more and being made for more, it's not about me. It's about serving the world. Okay, helping people, become the best versions of themselves and, being successful. And the reason why I'm saying this is that, based on where I'm coming from, the belief systems, that were ingrained in my mind. One of it was that, I was meant to believe that if I come from nothing, I can't amount to anything in this life, So that belief system, controlled my life for the longest of time, and it gave me issues with low self-esteem and stuff like that. Until I met a man called Dr. Miles Monroe. I don't know if you are aware of this man. He's been so impactful as far as people of people like myself, is concerned. His message of education and what this life is all about, has impacted many. So I heard this voice, I heard this man speak, and from the message, it made me realize that hey, it's not about where you are coming from, whatever situation you are born into. It's about discovering yourself, who you are, and knowing why you are here in the world and living life from that direction. So from the work that I did on myself and the discovery that I made about myself, I realized that hey, you are meant, or you've been brought into the world to help people become better versions of themselves, especially people from a less privileged background like I am coming from. So the next 5 years, the whole journey is to build. If it's about writing of books, it's part of the journey. If it's about this podcast, it's part of the journey. If it's about public speaking, inspiring people, helping people, like I've said, become the best versions of themselves, it's all part of the journey. So I want to finish with the next 5 years before me, then I'll continue with the next 5 years that you are talking about. So if I'm taking the question uh from where you asked the question, or if I'm answering you right, the next 10 years, as far as the 5 years that I've spoken to you about is concerned, which is left in my journey, everything is going to be about me, helping people become whoever they've been born into, into the world to be in the world, and impacting people, impacting lives. And I'm so grateful, to meet Lloyd, Gardner, our head of production, and Suleiman as well, who have believed in me, and because of that reason, we are here today, and we keep, starting this. So yeah, that is where I'm looking at things from.
Hey, audience, you're listening, you're watching. What do you say if we give Emmanuel another round of applause? Let's do this. That was a lovely answer, and not just a lovely answer. It's just the wisdom that's within it. I really hope, and if you didn't, go back that you taken notes, especially about the questions Emmanuel has been asking himself throughout his journey. Powerful intention as well and purpose, and I love the I'm better than this, and yeah, I'm better than this, and what was it? Say it again because
Yeah,
yeah,
I am meant for, I
I'm
am
meant
meant for
for
more.
more.
Yes.
I'm better than this, and I am meant for more.
Yeah.
Regardless, and I'm repeating it because I want to remember this. Regardless of your current circumstances, how you're being brought up. I mean, you are in charge of what's happening right now. Okay, in order to start building that future, if it's tomorrow, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, yeah, I deserve more. I'm meant
Absolutely.
for more.
Absolutely.
That would challenge everything,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
belief system,
Yeah.
and definitely get you on a different path.
Yeah, yeah. And not to preempt you, they did a study, to find out about some of the things that make people successful in life. And the number one thing that came up was, they believe that they deserve more in life, like they are meant for more, and they deserve more. So irrespective of their circumstances, they push past that and, head towards, wherever they feel like they deserve to be in life. Yeah.
People, if you think you're meant for more, if you believe or are deciding to believe right now that you deserve more than what you already have, drop Emmanuel a message. I think this is a fantastic opportunity. Let him know that you're meant for more. As you've heard so far in the podcast and on this episode, he carries incredible wisdom, but he carries the kind of wisdom I respect the most, which is not the wisdom that comes from reading, which he also does, but also the wisdom that comes from experience. And even though he's only you're 35 right now, right?
Yes, yes.
You can see how much he's achieved. And achievement in this case is not about the material stuff as he's explained, but about the transformation he's gone through in terms of his mindset and how he's changed, and most importantly, how he's shaping his current and future environment. Emmanuel, good brother, what would you say to people? Give me three things that you would say to people that would like to change what they're doing at the moment and refine that purpose.
Wow, that's an incredible question. First of all, I was telling someone the other time that if I have to begin my whole journey again, first of all, the first thing I want to do is to develop self-awareness, like a ton amount of self-awareness. Because without self-awareness, come on, how do you know what you are meant for in life, and for that matter, pursue that very thing? So first of all, I would say self-awareness. Develop. Like a bigger chunk of self-awareness, because it's the starting point. Even though in the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about desire being the beginning of the journey to success, which I think he's right. But for me, I believe self-awareness is the most important thing, because if I'm not aware about myself, how would I be able to know that the things that I'm desiring after, they are the right things for me?
Yeah.
I hope you get it. So number one, self-awareness. Number two, I would say get clarity, over stuff, like extreme clarity, because clarity is everything. If you don't know who you are and the right things for you, how do you pursue something in life? So be clear about yourself and whatever you intend to do with your life. And the third thing, I would say, get things done. Like whenever you set your mind to something, just execute. Don't be like, I'm going to do it today, tomorrow, and stuff like that. Who told you that you are promised tomorrow, or you are promised the next moment? You have no idea. So these are the three things that I would, encourage people to begin from: self-awareness, getting clarity over stuff, and getting things done. Like being very bullish when it comes to execution. Yes.
People, are you writing this down? We've got self-awareness, you've got clarity, and execution. Thank you so much for that, Emmanuel. Look, buddy, it is a pleasure to be on this podcast. And this is a platform that you've created. Okay? Why? And I know this is a silly question for listeners at this point, because you're going to go, Jose, I mean, come on, what kind of question is that? But why should people listen to this podcast? Why should people follow? Why should people share this podcast with their communities? Why?
Well, first of all, I would say I think before now I've shared a bit of my story with people, and from what I've shared, people can know that the idea of wanting to do this isn't to benefit myself. Like, it's because I fancy the idea that, hey, I want to have a podcast, that is the thing now, everybody is doing it. No. It's because of a kind of desire I have in my heart, to help people. Because like I've said earlier, when I was growing up, some of the education that I've come across, or the knowledge and wisdom that I've come across, and it's helping me now. If I had come across them, from the beginning, I should be somewhere way bigger than, this level that I am, even though I'm grateful. So for me, I think it speaks to the fact that, I'm not doing this because I want to do it. I'm doing it because I want to help people. And talking of helping people, it's simply about, helping them with the knowledge and wisdom to help them become their best selves and successful. And it's the reason why, we're bringing the guests that, we're bringing on board. I mean, you've done an episode with us. Look at where you are. But you've wasted your time, to be here with us.
Whoa, did you say wasted? No.
Well, let me put it that way.
Whoa, no, don't.
Okay,
no,
okay,
whoa,
I will retract my
no,
statement.
Yeah, just rephrase that. Or
Okay,
or
I'm
we
going
end
to
the show right now.
Yeah, I'm going to rephrase it. Look at where you are, but you've taken the time, knowing very well that
I've invested time in a very powerful mission that a good friend of mine, Emmanuel Anderson, has got. So it's investment of my time, because I believe in the power and the ripple effect of what you're doing, my friend.
Well, thanks for the correction. But like I've said earlier, people should know that it's not about just we wanting to be, on camera and be talking. That is why we want to do this. We want to help people. But most importantly, we don't only want to help people, but we are committed, for them becoming successful in life. Like, most importantly, becoming the best versions of themselves and becoming successful in life. Because trust me, nothing hurts in life than waking up in the morning and you have no idea what you have to do with your life. It's crazy. You end up being anything and everything. You become like a puppet on a string. Wherever the wind blows you, you go.
Can I use the phrase, you become vanilla?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you don't want to live life like that. You want to know what you stand for, who you are, your purpose in life, and what you must do with your life. Because I believe it is from that direction that you live in life, life feels so good. Imagine you being a musician, and when you wake up in the morning, all you have to focus on is music. Life become less stressful because you know that when I wake up in the morning, this is what I must do. So in that scenario, you realize that any other thing happening in life becomes none of your business. You focus on your part.
Ooh, I
So,
like
like I've said, we are all about helping people. But then again, if I'm saying that, I want to thank this gentleman here. Without them, we wouldn't be here because I've been in the country for over a year now. And this idea that today we've started with, it's been in my mind and my heart for long. And every day it's tormenting me because we've not started it. So meeting Lloyd, and Suleiman, but Lloyd most importantly, and speaking with me, he was like, you know what? This is my passion as well. So let's start this thing. It brings me joy. So people should know that we want to help them become successful in life. That is why we want to do this. And talking about that, I would entreat them that if they are watching, they should subscribe, so that they get access to the education that we're bringing them.
people. You're hearing the man, and it is also about building a great community of each one of you and all of us, who want to achieve new heights and elevate each other's lives. Emmanuel, as we begin to wrap up, what is success to you?
Well, for me, success, even though there isn't a general a definition for it, for me, I still believe there is a general definition for it. And this is my definition, but I still believe, like I've said earlier, it's the general definition because we are in this world for a purpose. Whoever is in charge of this life, that person hasn't brought us here because he felt like bringing us here to eat, drink, and have sex and do those stuff and die and go. No, there is a reason behind this life, and so for me, success is discovering that reason, and living life from it. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's not about the cars that I had, the mansions. It's about the impact you had on the world. That is what people are going to talk about when your name come into mind. So for me, bringing it back to your own definition, when I asked you earlier, from the episode with you, it's about having impact on the world, but most importantly, connecting to who you are in the inside and living life from that direction.
Yeah, connecting exactly. You connect with yourself, and then your
Yes.
impact can be greater.
Yes.
Emmanuel Anderson, people. Emmanuel Anderson has spoken. Emmanuel, I want to thank you very much for speaking on your own show, for inviting me to be the host today, ask you some questions. I've enjoyed the answers so much. Here is how we're going to wrap this up, because I mentioned before we were getting ready for it.
Yeah.
3 things you want the audience to act on. 3 things you want the audience to act on, apart from all of the wisdom and everything, and the questions and everything else that you've shared so far.
I think the 3 things, bringing it back to the question that you asked me earlier, the 3 things is to, for the audience to act on, like I said, look for ways and means to get to know who you are, become highly self-aware person, get to know your mission in life, get clarity over whoever that you are and what, your purpose in the world is, and get things done. When you set your mind to something, execute. Don't wait and say, oh, I'm going to do it in the next minute. You are not promised the next minute. And as to you going to be here the next minute, you have no idea. And I think, like they've said, you don't want to get to the end of your life regretting, knowing that there were things that I wanted to do and I didn't do it. That feeling isn't good at all. And so these are the 3 things that I will share with the audience. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Anderson. And on that note, people, remember to subscribe, to follow, to share your successful self podcast. Become part of this community. And Emmanuel and his team, and why not myself included, look forward to hearing from you and look forward to you reaching out. All the very best, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.